Janie Williams, and I will be your MC for the hour here. We are the ALCDC, ALCDC, Arkansas Farm Development Corporation, Arkansas Land Community Development Corporation. And we are here to present to you our workshop summit. First, we're going to have a welcome by our own mayor of Forrest City, Larry Ryan.
Y'all caught me off guard. I'm here though. How y'all doing? Good morning. Beautiful day outside. Not as cold as it was yesterday. It's gonna get better and better. How you doing, Billy? See you again.
Snuck in on me.
Yes. I've just left the bonding agency. Those people from Stevens trying to give us some more money if we can afford it. But it's a pleasure for me to be here with all of you all today because, you know, it's a new day the Lord has given us and we are blessed to be here and all of us in good health. We can eat, we can walk, we can talk, and we can sleep, and we can come together and convalesce on this day, trying to do something good for the Delta and our region. Welcome to Forrest City. We're glad that you stopped by. We hope that you stayed last night, and we hope that you spent some money to help our economy. So welcome to Forrest City. Anything that I can do in my administration to make it stay better, ask, and we will try to comply and give you everything that you need. Have a great conference, and thank you for allowing me to just say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we're going to have an opening by Larry Lofton, Director of Ag Farm Program Division.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor, for that nice welcome. I would just like to say to all of you, thank you for participating in this meeting today. We appreciate you taking the time to join us. We hope that you will find what you need for this meeting, whatever it is, whatever kind of information that you may be looking for. We hope that you will get it. And speaking on that, there's an intake form in your package. And if you will kindly fill that out for us, you can let us know how well we did today, as well as whether your purpose for attending this meeting was met. And if not, you can let us know what concerns or issues you may have. We use that form to also identify topics for our upcoming meetings. And also, I would like to say that the main office for Arkansas Land Community Development Corporation is in Brinkley, so-called Fargo, Arkansas. Well, ALCDC has also reopened a second office in Forrest City. We're located at 831 North Broadway, just south of here. And the office is open for business. And we are there to help serve you if you like to, if that office is more convenient for you than the Brinkley office. We work together and we're there. We welcome you to stop by and visit with us as well. And with that, I'm not going to belabor anything. I'm going to turn it back over to our narrator. Thank you for attending.
Thank you, Mr. Lofton. Next, we're going to have one of our own, one USDA Urban and Rural, Dr. Calvin King Sr., our President and CEO. You want me to bring it up there?
Good morning, everyone. Along with Mr. Lofton, I'd like to also express my appreciation for all of y'all, all of those who come out to be a part of this particular event. You know, today's agenda, we're going to talk about a number of things as it relates to resources that's available to you through USDA as well as through other sources. Now, you'll note on the agenda, one of the things that gives reference to is what they call prosperity communities. And prosperity community was a process that USDA was engaged in, and I'm not sure how active that program is right now, but the process by which communities and towns would come together and they would put in place a plan. We did one for a community over in Phillips County, roughly 3 communities. And you identify and deal with both the resources available as well as the needs for those communities. It might be in housing, it might be in infrastructure, it might be in technology, it may be in conservation programs, it could be in business resources, availability of those resources, and the needs that need to be met as it relates to those particular areas. The other area that they'll talk about, and I'll come back to that one also, not from specifically from a prosperity community standpoint, but I will come back to it to talk about, what our services are as it relates to supporting both communities as well as individuals in those particular areas and how resources are offered, what our office is here to do. The other area on the conservation opportunities, micro, NRCS is here, if you raise your hand, please. NRCS representatives here, and abundance of resources. And one of the reasons we say one USDA, because one USDA and a combination of all of the agencies that exist, that's Natural Resource Conservation Services, Farm Service Agency, USDA Rural Development, and then of course, there are other areas within USDA where they don't have local offices such as ag marketing services that touch our lives in our state as well. In some cases, it's dealing with entitlement dollars and with the State Department of Agriculture. Some of you may have seen some of the resources that was made available through the State Department of Agriculture, where they were providing grants for individuals that are raising vegetables, where they could apply for and get coolers to put on their farming operations for holding their produce, their fresh produce, for market distribution to the local community, either by direct marketing to consumers. One of the other marketing opportunities that exist, of course, is that with Department of Human Services, State Department of Agriculture, where local producers can use a local market, can supply the food pantry. And that's an application process for that. So if you're producing vegetables and you have 3 or 4 acres, I was listening to a lady speak. I was at this church and they put me on to speak and gave reference to that. And she said, oh, I have a large garden. I always raise too much. All these vegetables, I just love gardening. And I have to give it away. And then I give everybody some and that just come there. And then I still have some left over. She didn't know about that market opportunity with the food pantry. Other things that we'll talk about will be urban agriculture, urban and rural agriculture. I don't know how many of you realize now it doesn't take 500 acres, 100 acres. It doesn't even take 5 acres to be a farmer now. So I mean, you could have 1 acre. You may have an area as large as this room here. And you can be declared a farmer. And say you're just raising vegetables. And that means that if you establish yourself as a farmer with that ½ an acre, quarter of an acre, or it may just be a lot, it might be a lot here in the city limits, then you can establish yourself as a farmer with that lot, getting a farm number. And it takes a combination of these agencies here in order for you to maximize what the potentials can be once you become a farmer, or what they call a micro farmer or an urban farmer. That's a combination of both NRCS as well as Farm Service Agency. The resources they have, how to access those, and how to make that a reality. And they're going to talk about that. They'll talk about that not just from an urban farm perspective and those resources, but as well as other resources they have available if it's through conservation easements and things of that nature. They have an abundance of programs. Then, of course, Farm Service Agency. You may have heard the radio announcement where we talked about both grant and loan availability. And we don't call them grants with NRCS, we call them program services. But in other words, it's money you don't have to pay back based on the way that their programs are set up. They'll talk more about that too, benefits of NRCS. Same thing applies back with farm service agencies. And no, they don't have to get nervous it's not a grant, but they have a loan availability, but they have a number of other programs that's very relevant to that micro-urban farm. The farm number being one. The other area is what we call mitigating risk, minimizing your risk if you're producing vegetables. That's an insurance program. Again, it's a program service that's offered through farm service agencies. They'll talk, give more details about that, as well as other programmatic type of benefits, some in kind of the conservation area as well. Conservation reserve program being one. The other being rural development. Now, people, believe it or not, rural development is one of the largest resources that's available. And they have an abundance of resources as far as the diversity of resources that's available, both for rural business, both in the grant line of programs. They have them available in the loan side of programs. They have the financing for housing, both in loans as well as in grants, and how you qualify, what the eligibility requirements are for those programs. They have community facility grant programs. They have community facility loan programs. And again, there are eligibility requirements, both from a community perspective as well as from the individual perspective when you start to talk about both on the grant as well as on the loan side. Again, I won't go into details. And I know Ms. Williams is looking at me right now. She said, you know, I thought I was going to do all this, Mr. Davis, by myself. So I was, I'll get a chance to talk. Well, I want to today. I got 2 hours. But I know my time is up. I know my time is up. So I would not have been given a summary on the agencies and what they have to offer. I would have been going into the eligibility requirements, how to access those programs, and the benefits and what it can mean to you. Let me say this and I'm on in. Here's my ending point. Whenever you start to talk about land is one of those assets that can appreciate, gain value. It can gain value. It's like if you invest in the stock market, if you're talking about annuity accounts or whichever and how those investments are made and what you anticipate on returns to come back in, RAs and things. Same thing applies back with land. Whenever you utilize the programs of USDA, and I would say basically any of the programs, they can build equity within our local communities. If it's an added value, if you're using a program with NRCS or the eQuip program, and the benefit of that program is going to add value to that land that once established as a farm, as a small farm. And then again, the resources with the Farm Service Agency, you are being able to access and get established with the farm number. Same thing would apply when you start giving cash flow and access to financing and the different type of loans that they have. But of course, the whole thing about business development and business itself, one, make an investment with an intent of making money. One, you want to make money out of it. So that means if you make money, you get more out of it than what you put into it. End results behind that, you should have a positive cash flow and some added equity point behind that. So it offers the opportunity to build equity even from an operating perspective. And the same thing applies back with USDA rural development and those resources. So USDA, the thing with USDA now, they've been doing a lot of focus on equity and building equity in local rural communities, particularly the underserved communities and underserved population. How do we deal with equity and how do we deal with and address the disparities that exist in some of the economically deprived communities and areas? And trust me, Eastern Arkansas is an area that is an economically deprived area when you look at what investments have been made in the past and upon the present, then there's a gap. So I'm gonna stop at this point. Really appreciate all the agency representatives being here. And this is the intent of this meeting also is for it to be an open discussion and engagement process. And when I say an engagement process, normally, you get out of a meeting, you get out of a meeting what you put into it. They're gonna put all they have into it. And the engagement process then has to come from you as participants to ask the question to make sure that there's enough clarity that's given on all the programs and services they have to offer. Good friend of mine always tell me, and he gives me a hard time, why he gives me a hard time all the time, I won't even call his name, he's in the audience. He said, I sit up and I do a whole lot of talking sometimes, and I go through a whole drawn out process and talking to an audience, and nobody says nothing. Nobody says nothing. So then you have an assumption, you say, well, I did a good job, they understood everything I said, and we had a good meeting. And he said, I don't know. I said, well, apparently they understood it, nobody said nothing. He said, well, it could mean they didn't understand it, just to say that they wanted you to explain for us, see how you can ask, you should at least ask everybody, do you get the point? And I would always fail to answer that question. Is there anything I missed or something that I need to provide more information on? Or is there a way I need to give it to you to make sure that I achieve my goal and why I'm here? And that is that you're able to leave here with information that is beneficial for you, with a better understanding of the process and how we can be more of an asset to you in providing more services and more detailed services to the follower. So thank you very much, and I'm going to end at this point now. By the way, my dad was about to treat you.
I'm gonna go back, if you go out of these doors, the exit doors, and if you wanna use the restrooms, go to the left there, we got the women and the men. To the left there, we can use the restrooms. We have, refreshments back there, water, sodas, and, snacks if you like, so you are welcome to get any of them back there. So, next thing, and we're gonna ask, we're getting ready for the speakers to, speak. So if you have any questions, will you please wait till after they finish? Thank you. Again, I am your moderator, Jamie Williams. I am farm advisor with ALCDC. And we're gonna have the first natural resource conservation services, equity and equality opportunities in the Inflation Reduction and American Rescue Plan. So we know that Kennard couldn't be here today, so there is someone here in RCS, or would you like to stay there, or you want to come up? Well, okay, all right, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Alicia Brown, and I'm representing NRCS today. Jonathan and Mr. Kennard could not make it today. I'm fairly new to the agency, so bear with me. I will try to explain as best as I can. But we are the Natural Resources Conservation Service. We have two main programs that we work with, EQUIP and CSP, the Environmental Quality Incentives Program and the Conservation Stewardship Program. These are cost share programs for our participants, who provide financial and technical assistance to our farmers and landowners to address resource concerns concerning soil health and water quality. Our cost share programs, like Mr. King said, you don't have to pay the money back. We pay up to 60% cost share. And HU participants, historically underserved participants, they receive advanced payments or a little bit more. Our CFP program is like a enhancement program. You register all your land under that one program. Equip, we cover about 300 acres, and for cover crops, 300 acres. And it was 100 for pest management and nutrient management. Now it's gone up to 160 acres to be covered now through the Equip program. It doesn't matter if you own or lease, you can be signed up for the program. Each program is a span of 3 to 5 years. And practices that we fund are nutrient management, pest management, cover crops, land leveling. And I know a lot of people are interested in high tunnels. We do assist with that. And we have our CPP program, which is good for small farmers. Our first come, first serve are small farmers under 40 acres. So they are the ones that get the first pick of the pie. And RCPP is good for small farms because you don't have to have any irrigation history, excuse me. And as well, we get a lot of people coming in for bees. They want to start bees, but we don't fund that, but we do pollinators. We do field orders around the field to bring the bees in, but not the actual bees. And that's it. I have some little pamphlets if y'all are interested in, and if you have questions, I will try to answer to the best of my ability. But like I said, I'm fairly new and I'm filling in for Jonathan, but my name is Alicia and I work at the Forrest City Service Center, so y'all can stop by if y'all need more information or would like an application. Our application deadline has ended. It ended December 22nd, but we take applications all year round. That's it. Thank you. Oh, I have it here.
This way, that's a question to everybody that was out.
Yes, if you want to ask her something, Alicia?
I'd like to get further to give us more details on the equip. I know she gave equip in reference to the irrigation, you know, the 300 acres, 100 acres. But equip for the micro urban farm under the RCPP program being one, but some of the program opportunities, what all comes out of that, the benefits of that, the hoop house specifically, how that works. And the 90% cost share part and the point that how you get points when you're making the application. So. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I heard you perfectly well. I will try to answer to the best of my ability. With the high tunnels, we fund the high tunnel. And we have a list of people that we don't actually do the work.
Right.
We provide you technical assistance. So we have a soil technician that'll come out and do your designs and your measurements to have that covered. But we, like I said, we pay to get forward. We don't actually do the work. If I'm not understanding.
Right. I think it's pretty what I'm asking, which is to the, and those of you that know equal, the 90% cost here, one of the things you can put in, if you live in the St. Francis County area, there's one person here just put in a huge, I think he may have one of the largest ones in the state of Arkansas, happen to be in St. Francis County also. But the equal program, you know, you can put a hoop house on it, get irrigation connected back to it. You can have in the equip application some of the CSP, conservation stewardship practices, which is the add-on. Of course, the compliance period is still 3 to 5 years on that, right? Okay, on the equip like the rest of them. But what it does, it gives you an expanded production period. If you're raising vegetables, you can really practically produce almost year round. But if you have a very hard winter, hard freeze, and you know, something of that nature. But the micro urban farmers, smaller farmers, and those who want to engage, and I'm hopeful we'll be able to get, particularly with our office in Forrest City, more of a campaign to look at the micro-urban farming opportunities in St. Francis County and in the Forrest City areas here, particularly where you have availability of vacant property. That's one. But that's on the EQUIP program. Now, I wanted to mention one other thing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but when you're applying for these programs, the other area, and I'll come back and talk more about that, we run into issues on air property. And if it's an air property situation, and you can't show either contract or title ownership, are you able to utilize the program?
If you have like a written statement or a lease agreement, that's something dealing with FSA, so I'm not really sure. I'm work around it.
You don't come back to that.
Yeah, we can come back to
We'll
that.
come back to it.
That we're.
And we'll talk more about this whole air property issue as well. So because everything we're talking about here, and this is something people that you'll find is very, 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 it's an issue. It's a high issue in our minority community, air property. I don't care if you're in the city limits, outside the city limits, whichever. So that's all. And we'll come back in our schedules and see how all these things go together.
Thank you, Doug. Alicia, thank you so much.
Thank you.
When I called and was looking for, Mrs. Sanchez, she answers the phone and she said, he's not here and I don't think he's gonna be here, but I'll try to come. I'm new at this, so, be patient with me and I thank you so much. Cause that.
Thank you for having me. Good job.
Yes, good job.
I'm sorry.
And I see one of our producers here in the crowd, so if y'all wanna speak to him, get back his experience with the program.
Yes. Which one is that?
Mr. Smith.
Oh, Mrs. Smith, okay.
Mr.
All
David
right.
Smith.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we're gonna have, it's glasses so I can see too. Farm Service Agency, we have FSA here, Shirley Moore, Farm Loan Manager, and Amanda Fisher, County Executive Director with, FSA Farm Program. So, you all wanna sit there? Whichever one wanna come first.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Good morning. I'm actually the Cross County Executive Director, so I see some familiar faces, can't place names, but just off the top, does anybody not have a farm member? Just raise your hand if you've never farmed or had a farm member. Okay, first things first, before you go see either one of these ladies, you gotta come see us. So first things first, go to your local office. We've got to set up a farm number. We've got to give you one. I'm not as familiar with the, what we call urban ag. We just don't have a lot. We have cropland. But we can study up on it and learn, but most of the time we can give your backyard a farm number. If you want to do a garden, absolutely come in. The air property side of it, we actually across have not had a huge problem with it. We've had some. There's totally ways around getting those farm numbers, and I brought something, and I hope everybody got one. It's guidance for air properties, and it gives you a list of what, that doesn't mean you can't get a farm number just because you don't have a deed at the courthouse. Because great grandpa had it, and it just never got switched over to who owns it. There's still ways around it. But it gives you direct, I mean, it's got a list, and as long as you have some of that stuff, we can get you a farm number. So don't let that stop you, as in, I don't have something in my name at the courthouse. It may be a little bit of hoops we've got to go through, but we can figure it out. But first things first, we've got to get a farm number. We'll set up. We have 1,000 programs and they grow by the day. So everybody's situation is going to be just a little bit different. what program you could apply for and get may not apply to the next person. But there's something for just about everybody. Also bought some stuff that's called NAP for non-insurable crops. And we do a lot in row crops where you go get crop insurance for your soybeans, your rice, your whatever. But if you're growing vegetables or sweet potatoes, you can't get normal crop insurance. We have something for that. That'll insure your garden. Even if it's a quarter of an acre, we can give it a farm number, we can insure it. And most of the time, for socially disadvantaged, there's a list of stuff on there. You don't pay a premium. There's not a payment up front that you have to pay. You can get better coverage and pay a little bit, but still, again, everybody's situation could just be different. First things first, I say go to your local office, set up that stuff, ask all the questions. Like I said, if I try to tell you about all our programs, we would be here till 6 o'clock tonight. We have tons. There's people that still shop me, that do farm, that do not know what's available to you. There's money out there for different things, cows, goats, your vegetables, there's a lot. Just come into the office and sit down with somebody and say, tell me what I need to do. The girls are good. I'm actually acting CD for St. Francis County for this week. Starting next Monday, LaShonda Tucker will be acting CD for St. Francis County. She's gonna be your go-to girl. There's great girls in the office. Can't say anything bad about any of the offices around. They're great. Sit down and talk to them. If you feel you can't get the answer you want, reach out to somebody else. I mean, the level of knowledge in each office is just a little bit different. All around, we should all tell you the same thing. If we don't, check on that also, but start out with me before you go trying to get a loan or trying to get these programs within RCS. They're great, but you gotta hit us first. Anyway, I'm here for questions if you got any later.
All right, I'm Shirley Moore, the farm loan manager in Cross in St. Francis County. And in my office, we have 2 loan officers and a program technician. And I have Hunter Almond with us today. He'll help me answer any questions that y'all may have. But normally, we make loans to family-sized farms. But as far as the urban agriculture, we may be able to help you with that with micro loans. Those loans are $50,000 or less, and we can make you a 1-year loan, and that loan can cover your operating expenses such as chemical, seed, fertilizers, rent, repairs, things like that. Or if you need equipment, if you're gonna purchase livestock, then that can be a 7-year loan. And then we have farm ownership loans. The farm ownership is to purchase real estate, and that requires a little bit more experience. But as far as micro loans, it's less paperwork and less experience for those. And we have our applications. We have them in the office. We'll email it or mail it to you, or you can go to farmers.gov to pull up that application. And on the back of the application has a checklist, and it has requirements for a complete application. And then you'll have to pay a credit report fee, and we'll check your credit and see if you meet the eligibility requirements. And I think the urban ag office is actually in Little Rock. But if you have any questions, I think we can help you. You can stop by the office. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. What's the interest rates on the loan?
Okay, well, it changes monthly, but once that loan is closed, it's that for the period, the full duration of your loan. But right now, it's 5 1/8 for operating purposes.
And how long is the time frame for repaying them?
How long?
What's the time frame?
Oh, okay, for an operating loan, that 1 year, that's for your expenses to produce the crop for this year. And then that would, normally it's due December the 31st. And then that's 1 year loan, and then if you purchase livestock or equipment, that can be a 7 year loan. If you're interested in real estate, that can be up to 40 years, but that depends on repayment. So this shows you can pay it back in 30 years, and we'll make you a 30 year loan. Yeah.
I hear a lot about microfarm loans. People are getting loans for small plots and so forth, growing vegetables, growing whatever. My question though is, who worries, who monitors the success side of this? And it's one thing to go get a micro loan and put up, or you swim and put up a 2 pounds or whatever and grow some vegetables. But, you know, it's sort of like you give a guy a fish and you teach him how to fish. I'm asking, who has the responsibility, who takes on the burden of helping these people sustain themselves? Is it just for food for the family or food for a market, so forth? Is it the government or is it some nonprofit like Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation?
I think that would go back to the individual. It's up to you to have a market for those crops. And then you're supposed to maintain a record book, you know, your sales, your expenses. And then when you come back to FSA the following year for another loan, then you'll have that history of your expenses and your production.
So you're saying, you managed to certify that I qualified for the next loan, is that what you said? You know,
Well, I guess it's actually,
Where do you access help for success? Like for producing a crop and stuff like that?
I'm sorry.
Are you asking about where do you reach out to access help for maintaining successful operation?
Yeah, I tell you how bright I am. I wore my hearing aids this morning and I still can't hear.
Are you asking about where to access help to maintain a viable operation?
Yeah.
So that would be, I mean, obviously the nonprofits are there to help that a lot. I would say that the nonprofits is there for that reason. They have a lot more involvement in the community and making sure that the operation is successful. But also, the Department of Ag, like the State Department of Ag, has a lot of resources on, you know, soil sampling, just trying to make sure that you're projecting your yields correctly and you're making a good plan and being able to fulfill that. And if you have questions on how to grow something better, or what the soil may need to make the ground more fertile, then that would be like questions for the state of Arkansas, or the Department of Ag there.
or if you go to the extension service.
Yeah.
That's lots of information.
That's what I was just fixing to say.
Yeah.
Extension service.
Locally, thank you.
I think part of this.
Did you get your question answered?
Well,
You,
you know,
I will come back to you.
it seems what you're saying is that one major success is if you qualify for the next year's loan or the next loan period, that's it, that you got something.
Well, not necessarily, because you can have, well, basically a successful operation, but you know, we have disasters. And your crops for that year could be, you know, affected by that disaster. So simply because you cannot repay your loan, doesn't mean that you are a success.
Well, you know, farming really should be a business model, it's not a hobby kind of thing. So somebody has, should have the responsibility of assisting these people from a business perspective on how to grow, how to get the most productivity, as well as the marketing side. And, you know, I came here to just give everybody some problems because.
That's right, but we don't assist with marketing. That's up to the individual. When you apply for a loan, you should have a market for those crops.
Well, you know, to be honest, I work with. I am a refugee from ALCDC, so part of it, you know.
This is gonna show more issues on all of us.
Yeah. All right, Mayor.
I was at Rockefeller last week and big thing is data collection. And do you all, and I'm listening to his question, I think it is, he wanted some data, or do you all have any kind of data, keep any kind of data on failure rate? Or what caused them to fail, so that others might walk down a different pathway to make sure that they're successful in urban or micro, farming? Is there a pattern or something out there that people can lead me or the next guy down the street the right way to get the loan, and not only get the loan, fulfill all the requirements and then have a successful venture at it? The data collection, does anyone collect the data that we can put it in a module so that people, others can see and seek the information?
Maybe the extension service, because we get, like county averages and, the acres and all that from the Arkansas Extension Service.
Just the service.
Right, yeah.
I want to say that, yeah, that was the ag census, and 2022 census information just came out. We haven't finished going through all that yet, but it's been recently produced, and it deals with farm by size of operation as well as gender. What the average income is from those different type of operations, we invest in poultry, livestock, row crops, soybeans, rice, and all the others inside of operations. The other thing that we look at what we call both a pre and post, process of dealing with the farm business plan. And by the way, we provide great assistance to anyone who wants to become a beginning farmer, micro-urban, I just say regular small farm in general. The pre-process is dealing with the business plan itself, USDA Farm Service Agency plan. One, if you take a business plan into Ms. Moore, who documents and who's gonna monitor, if it doesn't cash flow, you would not get approved. I promise you that. You would not get approved. One, so that pre-process is cash flow business plan. The post-process of that, you go back and you gave reference back to an emergency loan, a disaster loan, particularly if NAPA's is maybe involved with the compensation program payment, coming in. But that comes into an application process, and that post process is going back into an application and showing you analysis from the previous year, what your actual expenses were and what your actual income were. That's an application process. Am I right? It's more, okay. So now, then there was reference given to the fact that, keeping your records. So that means in order for you to do your application for the next year and to be able to do that post analysis in that, when I say post analysis, you just look at the record, what your actual income was, your profit, your expenses were on that. No, and then that's a actual versus plan. So we look at the. Yes, I did. When I said program income, in case of your post process, in the post analysis, there will be an inclusion of any risk management income that would result of say that was a disaster and other areas that caused you not to be as successful as what you planned. And that's why NAP, the risk management, is so important on the program side. She gave reference to NAP is absolutely important. If you raise the vegetables, even if you got a garden, but if you raise the vegetables, take NAP out. If you have a loss, the benefits of that is say reducing your risk, and that's what it's about. But yeah, risk management is a part of that analysis, particularly if that was after you had losses. And you post in that application that in that post process, you're going to do your actual, and you look at their actual versus plan. They may not actually monitor it throughout, but they take a look at your pre and then your next application process, and then what your projection is or business plan is for another year. That's how they, have some determination if you go out 3 years out, beginning from, what your actual records are. So you plan this year for, 500 bushels, I'm just giving an example, 200 bushels of peas per on that particular crop enterprise. And you put 200 out there, but your actual during that post process is 100. You got a 50% loss in the process. You have a program. The mitigation process with the risk management, pays, say, maybe 40% or 50% of what that loss was. It's up to 65%, right? The 65%. No, on the net.
Oh, you can, that's what I was saying, I think it is 65% for just your, in the door. But you can buy, well, we
You
don't.
can't buy it, right?
And get much better coverage.
Right.
This is a big,
Like 55.
I might not even,
They can buy the coverage, which would be 65.
okay, so your initial price is 55, and then it goes from 65 up to however much you want to spend.
So all that, and all of us is part of that risk management that you were doing reference to in that pre-process, and developing the actual business plan itself. And discussing and having those conversations with those producers, making sure you take that out, make sure you go, see it on the program side, sign up. And the other part we try, and we send emails out all the time, there are specific time periods for sign up on, I know you're giving those time periods on the NAP sign up. Yeah.
February for
Different crops.
your pay, it could be May, maybe, I don't know how you run it. We don't do a lot of that. We do maybe 6, 7 across a year. And most of it is sweet potatoes. We did have somebody that used to do a very nice sized garden where he bought a coverage on their grapes, their tomatoes, their cucumbers. He didn't buy it, he just signed up for it, and we've only had a couple that's had a loss, but when you do have a loss, it does pay. I mean, it's good, it pays decent. You have insurance on your home, I would definitely have put insurance on whatever I put money in that ground or whatever it is worth to do.
This is one, I'm asking one last question. I hope to ask a question about both mitigating risk as well as that pre and post process. But the FSA does have an analysis, they come back with next year, you go back in. What about chemicals? Loss of vegetable crops, we have that. Because one of the things that I just recently found out, I didn't know that, the camera, the courts said, don't disband it. And
We have nothing to do.
I know.
We can't even spell like anybody. I don't even like it.
Now, now this boy know I said a lot of things about USDA, but I've never accused of any chemical itself. I never have about anything. The I'm just saying is that covered, because that is a risk factor. It does happen, and I just recently found out that I had read the report where the courts said it was not to be sprayed, in the state of Arkansas.
The thing is the aerial spraying is what was causing the problem, because the drift was so bad. I think they changed it to where you can only spray it by a spray rig that doesn't have a huge aerial spray. And it's only by February or something. I don't know where the cutoff date is, but June.
Yes.
As far as for now, it won't affect could it? Yes. If you say I quit growing a garden at home. It wasn't dicamba, but whatever the farmer that lived across, that had to farm across would spray his, whatever was planted and kill my tomatoes every year. So I quit. Had a neighbor next to me that actually put a sign up that said, you killed all my vegetables. It didn't help, but I did not have, was not doing it for, I mean, it was literally for me. It was for my family, so it wasn't a nap kind of thing. Now, if the field is beside you that did spray, yes, I think that would be a determining factor for a loss. You had a loss.
Great.
Most of our losses are gonna be excessive moisture, maybe too much rain, it flooded it out. Pretty much what would include for NAP as a loss, is the same thing for if you had a row crop and had crop insurance. High winds, tornadoes, excessive moisture, too much rain, a freeze, a drought.
Fine.
Those are the things that could affect NAP covered commodities as well as row crop commodities that are covered by RMA. But Mayor mentioned, kind of touched on the statistics behind. I'm for our farmers, they're a headache. When NAS sends out these booklets, anybody that's had their name on a farm, at one point in time probably has received one, they ask 1,000 invasive questions. And I tell my people, skip the questions you don't want to answer. When they ask you how much did you pay your employees, you don't owe them that, don't put it down. But when it asks you, did you make a crop? How many acres did you plant? What did you plant? Answer those questions. What was your yield? It's very important to fill out those parts. It may be this big, flip through it and only answer those questions because we're cross-counting when it comes to CRP. Those statistics off of NAS is what determines your rental rate per acre on your CRP maintenance. We just jumped up to like over $100. It's like, and that for CRP, CRP is conservation reserve, which is planting trees or grasses. It pays more for if you're turning cropland into CRP. It's gonna pay really good. Matter of fact, ours went up to over $100 an acre. And that's annual rent per year for 15 years. It's a good payment. If it's marginal pasture land that never had a row crop, your payment is reduced per acre. Ours is still fairly good, but it's because enough farmers actually do those studies. And they take it off of that. That's where we get our yields from. That's where we get, and if people just trash them, they say on there by law, you've got to fill them out. They're not gonna come arrest you for not filling them out, but it does help the county. So if you've ever got one, just fill out what you want to fill out. You don't have to fill out how many people live in your home and who they are and how you're related. That doesn't matter. Put your name on it and fill out those pertinent answers. It helps you in the long run by helping the county get higher rental rates, higher. And it keeps a running statistics of what the county's doing. So I just kind of implore you to get one and fill out those things and it helps.
But no, you mentioned trees on the CRP. You don't have to do trees.
You can do grasses.
Yeah, you can do grass. Yeah.
The grasses are a little harder to get into because those are under what we call a general sign up. Gosh, I just went blank. What is it? Not general sign up, but the continuous sign up. Thank you. We can do that any time of the year. So if you come in the office and say, hey, I've got this corner over here that I cannot get to, equipment's gotten so big, I can't get over there to it, it floods, but I want to get some money out of it. We can put that in a program with either grasses, and if it's by a waterway, those riparian buffers, what conservation reserve program is to keep that stuff from eroding. So if you've got a big ditch, it doesn't have to be a stream or a river. If you've got a ditch that runs through and you've got your land that's falling off, come in the office, we can put that in trees that's gonna stabilize that ground. Or we can put it in grasses that's gonna keep that from eroding away, running off. And it's money in your pocket. The way it works is we pay a 50% cost share of what it costs you. And then we turn around and pay another incentive on top of that. What I tell people, or what I used to tell people when I actually did CRP in the office is, you're gonna be out of pocket maybe 10% of the cost to put it in. You're gonna, you know, over the years, you're gonna get your money back. Because we're gonna pay you once a year for 15 years on that, as long as you maintain it, which just means you don't take it out. You mow it when we say, hey, you need to go out and mow it. It's really an easy program. We don't require, if it's trees. Actually, the trees are cheaper to put in than the grasses in the long run. It really is. It sounds crazy. The trees are like 24 cents a little seedling. You hire somebody to come do it. We're gonna give you that money back pretty quick as soon as you get it paid. And a lot of times your planners will work with you. Hey, I'm gonna send you this bill. When you get paid, you pay me. That way you're not actually out that money out of pocket, because it can be a little costly, but we'll put you in touch with those people that plant trees. I know a few that are trying, they're just good people, they're just here to help out. They're not gonna just take the money and run. But it helps that, and through the years, it has been cheaper to plant the trees than the grasses, and there's less upkeep with trees, you just let them grow. And if something was to go through in the first 2 or 3 years and wipe them out, we don't have a nap or anything for that. We'll just have you replant them, and we'll turn around and pay for that replanting again if something was to happen and it floods on the house.
Right. Thank you, FSA. I just want to, let you all know, this is, I don't know if we ever had the mayor of the city and the county judge is here. Both of them are here today. We have Mr. Jones, county, judge there. So, next we're gonna have rural development, Mr. Holland, Billy Hollins, and, Laura Ford is not here, right, but we have that this. All right, thank you. You want to come up, Mr. Hollins? Spoke to him on the phone, we didn't know whether he's gonna be here or not. Let me see.
I got to work that.
Yeah.
Be that, so.
Sure.
I'm positive, yeah. If you can't hear me, let me know, but I think I'll do okay.
Okay.
First of all, Dr. King, thanks for inviting us here. We're get up and talk about our program. It's always good to see the mayor. Anytime I'm around the mayor, he's always trying to find funds for the community, which is good. And same thing with the county judge. I go to the judges' meetings and all of that, and he's always hunting for funds too. So you've got two good people there that's trying to help the community. So, and as like FSA talked about, we have lots of programs too. We got some handouts there, but we got lots of programs too. Think about the same amount of people to work those programs too. We have three main projects. We have the housing program, which Tricia Davis is going to talk to us about. We have the CF loans and grants, which in water and waste, which Keith Husky is going to talk to us about. And we have the business grant and loan program. That's done out of the state office. And, but we do a lot of it for them. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. First of all, my name's Billy Holland. I'm the area director in Jonesboro, and I'm the acting area director here since Kathy retired. Flora's not here because her husband had a kidney transplant and they're in Memphis. And Laverne and the others are busy at the office. So everybody that you see here is from Jonesboro, but we all do a lot of work together. Rural Business is a really good program. It's for the farmers and for business owners. And I'm gonna go over two programs that they have, which I think are the best. And one of them is called the REAP program, which is Rural Energy for America program. That's probably one of our #1 programs. It's where you can put in solar panels, biomass, hydropower, wind generation. I mean, if you go around and see a lot of solar areas around here, that's us doing the financing. Now, Right now, we can go, well, there's two different types. There's $100,000 grant, $100,000 that you can ask for. And then you can go up to 250,000. Now, the 250,000 requires a lot more work and a lot more environmental work. The 100,000, if you can qualify for that, it's a 50% grant. Now, that 50% grant's only going to be good till September the 30th of 2024, and then that we'll still have it, but you won't be able to get that big of a grant. The rest, you can either apply for a guaranteed loan through a local lender that our state office will help you with, or you can come up with the money yourself. Most everybody comes up with their own money. So, but the 250, the same thing works with that. Another something they've added that's not on this, and we've got several handouts out there, is that now for security reasons, you can actually put up a fence, you can put cameras, just anything to kind of secure the area. It's like I said, it's a good program. Karen Williams, that's in our state office. She couldn't be here today, but Karen's the one that you would visit with. And also your local utility provider, like Woodruff Electric or different ones, they will actually help you fill out the application because they have to do an energy audit. And so they will actually, and there's like up there in Jonesboro, there is Stone Creek Solar. They'll help you fill out the application. But most of your utilities like Clay County, City Water and Light, Craighead Electric, Franklin Electric, that's who I mainly deal with up there, but they will help you fill out your application if you need help. Now, the spurts, the applications goes in quarters. Right now, you've got till like March the 15th to get the application in for this quarter. Same thing, you go to June for the next quarter funding, and then you go to September till the next quarter funding. And then it starts again, but always put your application in. Because if we run out of money here and you can't get funded, your application automatically goes over into the next quarter. So, if you want to put in an application, don't wait, because it goes continuously. Another program that we have, and we've actually done a couple around here in years past, and I'm 69 years old now, so I can't remember like I used to. But the gentleman that had the sweet potato farm, this is called a value added producer grant. And the gentleman that raised the brown rice here, I cannot think of their names.
Stephen Lewis.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. But there's grants. There's what's called a planning grant. It goes up to 75,000. Now, whatever grant you get, you have to match 25%. So if you're wanting a 50, you've got to put 25% of that in there too. But it helps bring you can get, you're talking about technical work, that you can bring somebody in that will help you with marketing, advertising, and that kind of stuff to get you going. And then we've got the capital grant, which is up to 250,000, which you can actually buy, work out. You can buy circulars, envelopes, all sorts of stuff to help you market your plan. You can even do some building capital with it. But here again, you have to put in so much. But now I will tell you this, the value added protection program, value added farmer producer grant, that's another program. It's done by the national office. And if you'll look at that, this out there, it gives you where you go to. But now Tim Smith, who is our program chief in the state office, if you need help, he'll actually help you fill out this application. But it's not that much of an application to fill out. A lot of it is we've been talking about keeping your records. If you've got your records, it's an easy application to fill out because basically it just wants to know your income and expenses and what you plan to do with this money. How much am I going to spend for technical? How much am I going to spend for capital? It's pretty easy. So, but here again, we're always around to help you if you need help. But that's pretty much our business. Oh, and also let's go back on REITs. Other places we can help. For instance, up in Pocahontas, we've done a medical clinic, we've done a hospital. It's for farmers and small businesses, any town under 50,000. We've done a couple of hotels, we've done medical clinics, we've done a exercise thing, we've done a co-op where we can go in. In Heber Springs, we actually went and did a place that produces aluminum siding. We put solar panels on top of the roof. Down right outside of Jonesboro, Keith, remember we put it's a warehouse, we put solar panels on top of the warehouse. It was a forklift company. So you can do it with businesses as well as farming, but REAP is a really good program. And here again, they will help you fill out the application. Your utility people will help you fill out that application. So that's all I've got on that. Any questions on the REAP or value added?
On the energy, I'm pretty sure I'm clear on this. You mentioned the solar panel. Okay, that's on the solar. You did say you finance also by grant and loan the wind turbo.
The wind, yeah, we do wind, yeah.
You do the wind as well? That's both in grant and loan? Okay.
Now the loan part, we can do, if it gets anything over 30 watts, we don't handle. Anything under megawatts, anything under 30, we handle. If it goes over that, we have what's called the RUS, Rural Utility Service, and that's Tony Matlock, and he's out of Louisiana. I mean, they're still with us, but it's a completely different, group. But we can only do 30 megawatts or less. So you're talking about like solar panels on top of a poultry house, or you're talking about a few solar panels to the side. A lot of these farms where you see a few, not these big ones, but the little ones,
Right.
we can do something like that because they fall in that price range.
But now the wind turbo is a little different. I know you have to do the environmental one, but
You have to do
dealing with the wind turbo for both energy purposes, say on a facility, as well as, and depending upon, capacity of it. They would have, say they have the capacity where you could sell the energy that comes off of that.
Now that's strictly up to them. We don't get involved in that.
Right, but you could do a plan like that. where you
Sure
had-
can.
You put the wind turbo in and then work back and say, what is the energy, with any type of arrangement and.
Well, yeah, there's an Arkansas law that the energy companies has to buy back the energy
Exactly, it
that
is.
you don't produce. Now they're trying to get that changed right now, but why? Because energy companies don't want to pay the money back since it's got so popular.
Okay.
But anyhow, that's what I understand might be happening, but yeah, so.
Someone asked about geothermal. Yeah.
We do a little bit of that. I'm gonna tell you, we have done very few of those, and I've not done any. And so I'm not really familiar on the geothermal. And more, again, that would come under Russ, under Tony.
There was also asked, is it for, I'm sorry, is that for? Yeah, Mike. Put the microphone on. Thank you.
Yes, they asked about, is it for municipalities or for personal farms?
Oh, on this, okay, it's not municipalities. It's for personal farms and small businesses. Yeah. Now, there is another program for municipalities, but that program is through I think you're all under East Arkansas Planning and Development.
Well, some of our service areas, St. Francis County is on East Arkansas.
Okay, that's who you would go through for that program for municipalities. They can get the funding for that.
They can get the funding for.
It's a different program than what we have, but it's for municipalities.
Now, what was that program? Was that for infrastructure, or was that for the energy?
It's in energy. It's just kind of like this, but it's for municipalities.
Yeah, okay.
And here again, we don't do that, but they can. What was it? Was it Palestine or was it in I can't remember which town it was in where they were actually going to do one. Could have been Brinkley, I can't remember, but East Arkansas Planning, Jeff, remember he was working with them. And him and Karen from our state office was working. But if it's a municipality, they need to contact East Arkansas Planning. And I believe Sarah Stocker was the person that was working at East Arkansas plant. Okay, we have another program, and I'll let Tricia talk about that. That's our housing program. Now, in this area here is probably one of the biggest areas, in the state for its applications and working up loans and grants. And we have a lot too. But I'm going to let Tricia talk about our program on that. And then after that, we have two really good programs: community facilities, which Mayor and the judge is familiar with. Keith's going to talk about that. And then we have our WEP, which is our water and waste projects, and give you an example. I think you've just heard where President Biden got some funds for Arkansas. And one of the communities that got funded was Clarendon. It's like a $3.5 million loan and like an $8.5 million grant, big system. But, and then we got another one outside of Pulaski County called Runyon. And then we got one funded, Rockmore, that we got funded in our area. But anyhow, but that's a good program to help communities. So, but after Tricia gets through with the housing, then I'll let Keith talk to you all about that. And again, thank you for letting us come and talk to you all.
Now, I'm glad, the one with Clarendon, that was the Central Arkansas Plan Development District.
Now, that one in Clarendon, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the center. Yeah.
The one
That East Arkansas.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I have three different groups now that I have to work with: Central, Eastern, and then we also do White River.
White River.
Yeah, so. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.
Like Mr. Rollins said, my name is Tricia Davis. I'm out of the Jonesboro office, but I work single family housing for the entire state. We just kind of recently restructured that. But we have two programs that we work with. The first one is our direct home loan program. This caters to low and very low income households who are wanting to purchase a home. Right now, for March, interest rate's 4.5%. This is a no down payment program, as long as you're under the asset limitation, which is $15,000 for non-elderly households and $20,000 for elderly. Like I said, no down payment, typical term 33 years. So these are spread out a little more than your traditional home loan, which reduces your payment. These loans are also, you have the option or the ability, depending on your income, for them to be subsidized. What that means is instead of paying, like possibly this 4.5% interest rate, we can subsidize it where you are only paying 1% interest rate per month. We would recertify your income every year, but the difference in that payment would just be tacked on to the end of your loan. So that's another good way that we can lower your housing payment, but still get you in decent, safe, and sanitary housing. The next program that we have is our home repair loan grant program. This is to remove any safety and health hazards from the home. The grant is, they just raised it, it's up to $10,000 per household. The catch on that is for the grant, you have to be 62 years or older. However, if you don't hit that age limit or that age cap, then we do have the loan, which is up to $40,000. It's a 1% interest loan, so super low payments on that. The loans are paid over 20 years. So a lot of options there for you. With that program, we do a lot of new roofs, HVAC units, windows. If your floors are wonky, we can get those straightened out. Lots of different options to take advantage of this program. And for St. Francis County, I went ahead and looked it up. Our low income limit, which would be for the direct home program for a household of 1 to 4 people. The limit on that is $50,700. If you're below that, income wise, then you would meet the requirements for our direct loan program. And then for the repair program, you have to be in the very low income category, which 1 to 4 households, the entire household income would need to be $31,700. And if you have more than 4, it's adjusted based on the number of people in the household. But that is just what is for this county. Any questions?
Yes. You said that the minimum age for a home remodel, home repair.
So the home repair, the minimum age for the grant is 62. Anything over that, you would be eligible as far as your age requirement. The loan does not have an age requirement. You do have to own the home, but as far as age, there's no limitation on that. You do have a little more flexibility with the loan, versus the grant. The grant is strictly to remove safety and health hazards from the home. The loan, it can be more cosmetic things. You have a little more leeway there. But that.
And what's the name of the community?
It's our 504 home repair, grant and loan program. And if anybody's interested, get with me after this and I can get your email address or mailing address. And I can send you an application for either program. Like I said, I work the entire state. So you can send us your application and then we'll just put it in the queue and everybody across the state will work on it. And see what we can do for you.
I have one question. You have the grant side, $10,000, $40,000 on the loan side, 1% interest. And say the renovation needs on the housing is say $50,000 or $45,000. If they meet the eligibility criteria for both, they can get both the grant and the loan.
Correct. So whenever you apply, you're not specifically applying for the grant or for the loan. When we get your application, we'll get your income, your debt ratios, your age and any other requirements. And we see what you're most eligible for. Sometimes we're able to get you full grant. Sometimes it has to be full loan. Other times we can split loans. If you have a bid for $45,000 and you are all within the eligibility requirements of both, we can do 40,000 loan, 5,000 grant, or 35,000 loan, 10,000 grant, depending on what you're eligible for, but that is an option.
Do you all accept the need assessment from that independent contractor? Do you come out and have your local people to make an assessment of the actual need, I'm dealing with what the request is for the funding?
Whenever you apply, you are required to provide photos of whatever you're needing repaired, along with the repair bid from whatever contractor you would choose.
Right.
Our only requirement on the contractor is they do have to be a state licensed contractor. Just to make sure they're of good, a good fit for you there. We are not allowed to recommend any contractors as far as that goes. But once you are approved and the work is done, we do come out to the property, take a look at everything, make sure it's all done as following the contract. And then at that point, then we will release the money to the contractor and the applicant. But we ourselves do not give a bid or anything like that.
Is funding required for the contract?
Depends on, how large of a project it is, but for this home repair program, you don't have to.
But the regular loan?
If you were to build a house, depending on how much,
$7,000.
probably.
But
I'd have to, I don't know the exact specifics on that, but we would have to look into that, yes.
Billy didn't need the microphone, but I think I did. Want to thank you guys for coming out today. Want to thank Dr. King for letting us come out to visit with you guys. My name is Keith Husky, and I'm an area specialist with the USDA Rural Development Office and our Jonesboro office. Our office up there covers 11 counties in northeast Arkansas. And of course, we help out around the state wherever we're asked to help out. And by the way, everything that we've talked about today concerning USDA rural development programs, you can find that on our website. If you're web savvy and surf the internet very much, our website is at rd.usda.gov. RD, which stands for Rural Development, USDA.gov. So anything we talk about today, you can find out, you can read up on it after today on our website. the two programs that I briefly want to talk to you about today. It shows up on your program as rural, small town, community grant loan programs. And, that's the primary customer that we work with in these two programs I want to talk about. Our customer is public bodies. Our customers are public bodies. We work with mayors, we work with county judges, and we work with these nonprofits that serve the community, like water facility boards and stuff like that. The first of the two programs I want to visit with you about a few minutes is our community facilities program. And the name does just what it says. It's to help fund and finance projects that help with community development. These are things that are considered essential community facilities. And it's probably one of the broader based things that we do. And like I said, even though our customers are public bodies, I realize that a number of people in the audience today, you're an individual producer, you're an individual that's looking for a home loan or something else. If you see a need out there in your community, you might share with your local officials that we've got these programs available, and encourage them to work with us on that. But essential community facilities, what's needed to essentially carry out that community. For example, we help finance healthcare facilities, health clinics. We can fund and finance public facilities like town halls, courthouses, street improvements, community centers, fire stations and police stations. We have funded libraries because, in a lot of communities, people have to go to the library to do research as far as looking for a job or looking for information to start a new business there in your community. And we also finance things like food pantries and food banks. Since we work with public bodies, we look at a different set of eligibility for that. We base a lot of the eligibility based on census data. So if you've ever wondered every 10 years, well, why do I have to fill out census information for every 10 years? Well, for one thing, the Constitution calls for it. And another thing is our agencies depend on that information to see what the needs are for those communities. So if you're ever down at the coffee shop or something, you hear some people say, well, I had that census questionnaire and I didn't have time for it. And I just stood at the trash can. You might want to encourage them to pull that back out of the trash can, because a lot of what we do at USDA runs off of that census data. And a number that we look at is called a median household income. And so there may be some people here in this room that got a phone call or a questionnaire here about 2 or 3 years ago from an outfit called the American Community Survey. They were asking questions like, just how much income do you make and all that. Well, they use that data to measure the financial needs in the community. And when communities don't answer those surveys, they just assume that area has a high income and they don't need those services. So I want to encourage you, when those surveys come out, please take a few minutes and take time to fill those surveys out, because it helps drive what we do in these community-based programs. But in our community facilities program, it's a loan and grant program. We look at the service area of a community, like the service area, the boundaries for Forrest City or for St. Francis County or whatever. We look at the median household income of that area, and the closer it is to the state benchmark, the less grant eligible that area is. But the grants are really intended to fill the gap between the cost of your project and the money you got available to pay back a loan. That's really the purpose of the grant funds. We can go up to 75% grant eligible. There again, just depending on a number of factors. But our loans, right now, the interest rate on our loans is 3.75% interest. 3.75% interest. And just like some of the farm loan programs, whatever we make the loan at, is what that interest rate stays at for the life of the loan. We can go up to 40 years. 40 years. And the main thing that does, Dr. King, is that waters down that payment for that municipality or that public body. It waters that payment down where it makes it a little more affordable to make. But with our financing, with our funding, there's not a penalty for paying off early. So if that municipality is able to save up some money based on that low payment every month, maybe 5, 10, 15 years down the road, they can pop up and say, hey, we're ready to pay you off. And our staff will say, you tell us today you want to pay that off, we'll work with you on that. But the grants, like I said, the grants are made to bridge the gap between the loan you can afford and the cost of the project. Well, the question comes up, well, what if we can't afford anything? Well, then you may have to find some money from somewhere else to put in with the USDA funding for that. And of course, mainly what I'm describing is our direct program. We also have a guarantee program. And mainly what that is you work with a local lender. And the lender comes to us and says, hey, I'll make that public body a loan if USDA will cover my risk on that loan with the loan note guarantee. So we have a direct program, we have a guaranteed program. The other program I want to visit with you about is our water and waste disposal program. I think Billy called it our WEP program. That's an acronym for Water and Environmental Programs. Environmental is just a politically correct name for saying sewer, okay? Our water and environmental program. Once again, we're working with public bodies and these nonprofit groups like these facility boards to provide water and sewer services for rural communities. And that program's a little bit better to administer, a little bit easier to administer, because when we look at repayment ability for a loan, we're looking at the rates that they're charging their users that will not only pay for operations and maintenance, but also go to pay for a loan. And once again, we look at the grant funds to bridge the gap between the cost of the project and the loan that they can afford to pay. Those loans can also go up to 40-year repayment. There's no penalty for paying those off early. The main things we can finance with our water and waste disposal program is water systems, not only paying for water extensions, but also paying for repairs and renovations to water treatment plants, wastewater treatment plants, pump stations, sewer lift stations, any component that serves that rural water or sewer system. And not only are we looking at the cost of construction, but we can also look at the cost of financing for engineering fees and for legal fees for that project. One of the things that a public body has to look at when they come to us is they have to hire a civil engineer that looks at that project and writes up a plan called a preliminary engineering report. And we hang our hat on what that civil engineer says as far as what that system needs and how much it's going to cost. We can look at financing and funding the cost of those engineering fees. Now, the security on those loans typically winds up being the revenues of that water or sewer system. So when we go to secure that, instead of looking at a promissory note, a real estate mortgage, we're looking at what they call a revenue bond. Those are done by special attorneys out of Little Rock. But the long story short, our agency, whether it's just the two programs that I just described to you, or anything else that we've talked about, our main purpose is to support and develop American agriculture in rural areas. And what we've described today is mainly infrastructure needs. Because if we can help enhance the infrastructure of rural communities, then we're going to enhance American agriculture. And that's our main job at rural development. That's all I've got to say without beating a dead horse. Dr. King, you got any questions?
Well, I have one question.
Oh, did I single you out? I'm sorry.
I don't know. He didn't point me out because I talk a lot. My question is, have y'all had any success in working with the private sector, the bank, in accessing the grant dollars through Federal Home Loan Bank Economic Development Program to fill the gap? So you got something, you're eligible for 75% grant. And Federal Home Loan Bank does both the housing program, they have up to 2 million, for rehab program, but the application process has to go through the bank. But it just seems like it would be a heck of a partnership type of situation to have a program to deal with affordable housing, rehab, $10,000 grant, $40,000 loan, and then a $2 million program that could move that up to another $10,000 or $20,000. That's one. But the other is on the community facility, so up to a maximum of 75%. Have you in any of the areas, the 11 counties, have you all had any success? Or have you all approached the private sector banks who are members of the home loan banks about making applications to support some of the projects you all work on? And if so, have y'all been successful with it?
Well, I know with these programs, as I've just described, we're able to partner with other agencies. There's been quite a few projects where we have not been the standalone agency as far as funding a community project. Now, as far as our loan dollars, one thing we look at is that entity, are they able to get a loan somewhere else? If they are, then we encourage them to get loan funding from other sources. But if it looks like they can't, well, then they're more of a candidate for our loan funding at USDA.
Yeah, well, I know some of the local small communities, not necessarily Forrest City, but you have some of the smaller towns that, they have water sewer issues, because from the population point, they built a system infrastructure for one population at that point in time, and that has declined since then. So you have aging system that's having problems.
Right.
And that supports a much larger population than what may exist in those towns now. Because of the out-migration from what it was in the 60s and the 70s, when most of those were dying. So in situations like that, those small towns, they qualify for the grant. In most cases, they can't afford the loan to deal with a lot of the infrastructure issues they're having now.
Well, that's where we look to other agencies to partner with us. I have worked on some water and sewer projects in recent years where they get their grant dollars from us. And of course, they didn't have any repayment ability to repay them. So they got their other funding from other state sources that also had grant dollars. But I've worked on projects where there wasn't $1 of loan in it. It was all grant funding from USDA and these other funding agencies. So that's a possibility, but we have to look at that on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Now, rural utilities, are they able to provide grant dollars, match grant dollars?
Well, that's what this water and waste program is administered under. It's our rural utility service, RUS.
So rural utility service under rural development. But now you mentioned rural,
Rural utility services, they do broadbands, telemedicine, electric grids.
okay,
And that's why I say if it gets over a certain thing, that's where Tony takes over.
that's what you think of.
Well, our water and waste program is also under RUS,
Okay,
but we administer that locally and on the state level. These other programs that Billy has talked about, we've got regional field reps that step in to help communities with that.
okay. Well, so this is an assumption that I'm assuming that if a community qualifies for and I'm looking at some of the disparities that exist in these small towns now. Say where you have, if they qualify for the 75% grant in these low income communities, say population 500, okay? Even 1,500. Then probably AEDC would probably be the next best source to go to for matching grant dollars. Also, Economic Development Commission would probably be the most reasonable source.
Yes, sir.
To try to partner with USDA.
We've got 4 or 5 working with them right now.
Okay, I just wanted to get that information out on the network so they'll know who that.
And you're talking about the home thing.
Right,
The only way we can do the home thing, we have what's called a self-help program. That's where the people build a house, they help build it, 504 repair, they help repair their homes. And the people like East Arkansas Planning or one time, like Mr. Cole, they can go in and access the federal home program. And they'll match it. I know that we do a closing cost on the self-help program. It was $5,000 to close a loan. They could put in $2,500 to $3,000 to help close that loan.
you know, Federal Home Loan Bank does that too, first time home buyer, you know, not as much as self-help, but can do it on the self-help too, but that's back with the banks as well, you know, $2 million fee. Then you have, of course, so I don't know if it's self-help, I don't think there's been a self-help in this area.
We're trying, actually, we've got one working, we're trying to get one working down here and working one in OCO right now.
Yeah, it's been a long time,
Well,
probably in the 80s or 90s.
yeah,
when it-
well, we just got through in another one up there, but now the big ones are mostly over Universal Housing in Russellville, Sebastian Cabin.
It's been around a long time.
And Universal Housing been there forever.
Yeah,
And then, what is it, North Central or Northeast up there in Harrison?
right,
Yeah,
right.
they've got the self-help program.
But both of those are built around community action agencies
Mhm.
as well, so, and a little different, I think, you know, and people that deal with the self-help, I think it's a very good program. But in most cases, when they do that, you're dealing with the community action agency, and they have empowerment dollars through HHS, that offsets a lot of the administrative costs that's associated back with the self-help program. So,
and all of that.
yeah, so that makes it makes the, and they can fill the gap, you know, $2,000 in some of the rehab, you know, dollars they have and all that. Yeah, let's, I'm I'm sorry. We just had a game conversation.
Well, no, Mr. King and I, we talk a lot, okay?
So we better around.
No, I have something with you with.
A person?
Yeah, with the, you put.
Okay, I'm.
I don't know.
We're good. So,
We do this a lot. Thank you a lot. Yes.
Did you have a question?
No, I'm gonna put this for Dr. King. I didn't want him, I didn't know if he was gonna quit at 1 o'clock or what, but he kind of got carried away. Then maybe something else.
we get carried away a lot.
Anything that I've talked about this morning, we have handouts for that. I think we came in a little bit late, and I'm not sure if you was able to get any information about these programs or not, but that information is available. And there again, if you missed the handout, you can go to our website and look up this information. I think we'll be around for a little bit to answer questions for you, so. Anything we can do to help, we'll be glad to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rural Development. We are the closing remarks and announcements. And we hope on behalf of Arkansas Land, Farm Development Corporation, Arkansas Land Community Development Corporation, we hope that your needs and answer the questions that you had and needed answered before you walked in the door. And again, we want to thank our panelists for coming, each and every one of you. And also, an evaluation form is available for you, and we certainly hope that you have the opportunity to complete it and leave it with us. And therefore, we would know how we have met your goals or your needs. So if you need one, raise your hand. There's Barbara Irving and one of our other staff members could pass one out to you, Michaela back there. So we're gonna ask Dr. King to come for closing. And any announcements from our director, Larry Lofton. Again, thank each and every one of you that we reach out to on the mountains and others. Let me say one other thing. LaShonda Tucker, this is the young lady that's going to be, that you will see when you walk in Farm Service Agency at St. Francis County. LaShonda, stand, and that is the new acting county executive director.
I put in a request to have her transferred immediately back to Lee County. Yes, Mr. Davis.
Dr. King, thank you for taking the question. Probably don't get several answers. You never really addressed that. It's my understanding that their property was one of the causes, the major causes of black land laws some years ago. It still serves as a barrier to USDA services. We can still maintain that their property center in Fargo.
Yes, we do. I'm gonna do a quick summary. To start with NRCS. One, NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Services, the EQIP program. I think the maximum on that hoop house, and again, you're talking about air property. If you have air property issues, you're gonna have challenges. And we're gonna talk about some of the things we do in relation to the technical assistance on the air property issue. But air property is connected back to all of this. On the hoop house, the EQIP, not included, on the EQIP program, and then what they call the CFP program sign up, the minimum payment under the conservation NRCS is $4,000 a year. So if you have a half acre, quarter acre, a big garden, you get a farm down the home, your minimum payment annually is $4,000 a year. I think that's on the CFP, on the conservation stewardship practices side, and how that's a part of that 5-year plan, that 5-year compliance period. That's one. I just wanted to mention that. I think the maximum payment for a hoop house is, am I right, NRCS representative? I think the maximum payment they do on hoop houses, Diddy, you may know more about this one, is about what, 19,000?
I can't think, my wife is sitting here, you're holding to it.
Okay, well, anyway, there's a maximum payment limit under the EQIP program on the hoop house. I'm thinking it's roughly, it was 13,000. I think that went up based on the largest one that they go through. It's about 13. Don't hold me to it, but that's the maximum payment limit on that 90% cost share for the hoop house on the EQIP program. That's one. That's in our primary area we cover. Farm Service Agency talked about the NAP program, we call it mitigating risk. Mitigating risk area, you need to sign up for that, call them, get the information on that. That's on the program side, and get your farm number. All those, we get your farm number, and FSA financing on the direct loan as well as the guaranteed loan program side. We didn't talk much about the guarantee. And of course, USDA rural development, they do it all. They can build a city if they want to. They got everything from infrastructure, they talked about community facilities, they got business grant, business loans, so you can build a house, start your business and start recruiting residents for your town, just go ahead and incorporate. Add on population to it, but the grant program they have. Now, one of those grant programs in Timbercom, I think it can be done through a municipality, a city, the automatic or rural business, enterprise grant program. A city can apply if it has a business. Let's say a small business that's want to locate in that building facility. Once it's finished up and the equipment and everything is put into that particular facility, and it's gonna be job creation, a new job creation on the business enterprise grant, and of course, the housing program. We work with individuals and with communities in all these areas, particularly in the area of housing. And again, we have the Forrest City office here now, farm program, business plan development, and application development for the conservation program. So Mr. Lofton here out of the Forrest City office, Ms. Janie Williams, all of y'all know her, she's been with USDA for a period of time. And I just want to ask all the staff, if y'all would stand and raise your hand that's here with us today. Ms. Irvin, Mr. Lofton, Ms. Smith back here, Mr. Tucker, of course, we've met Ms. Williams here. And we have other staff that's not here today that's over at the main office. But, you know, our program Search Delivery has been around for, I won't say how some of the people I've been associated with for this period of time, but our program Search Delivery has been around for about 44 years, almost 45, yeah, 44 years now. So the organization, Arkansas Land Development Corporation, which is our asset holding company, housing, the company, you know where Stonebrook is in Forrest. Y'all know where Stonebrook is? Okay, did y'all know our company owns Stonebrook? Oh, good. I'm glad you know that. Oh, we didn't know y'all. But Stonebrook, we have Meadowbrook and Mariana subdivisions that we built. And that's where Arkansas Land Development Corporation primarily is the asset holding unit of the corporation, about 277, 280 acres of land where our home base is located on. Running the cattle operation as well as some row crop farming operation in forestry. And boy, believe it or not, we have a lot of eagles on our land area now, which means that a lot of stuff you can't do out there on the environmental side. So I have to have forestry come back in and we have to redo our forestry plan. We didn't talk about forestry, but if you have wooded areas, recommend everybody get a forestry plan done on your wooded areas. I don't care how small it is. Get a forestry plan done, so you know what the wildlife habitat is that's there, that exists on your land, and then the type of timber you have there, and the possibility of the marketability of that timber. Air property. History, and one of the ways we've been doing this is providing education information on air property and technical assistance of dealing with resolution around air property issues. We work with families, we meet with families, and we also have educational booklets and a training manual. I know the training document we should have out on the front desk. And we have a book that we have that we've developed over the years and updated. I don't know how many of y'all realize that the new law in Arkansas under the Unified Air Property Act, we started working with trying to get that law changed. Again, an area where some of the economically stressed areas, in particular African American community, has been a major area where African Americans have lost land because of air property, no wills, don't go through a probate process through the court to establish the heirship in the property. Somebody just petition. One of the biggest cases I dealt with right here in St. Francis County. This was back in the 80s. And we were able to retain that farm. Roughly about 500 or 600 acres was involved in this air property case. But the Unified Air Property Act has changed that so somebody can't just buy an 8 interest, less interest, where you may have 10 or 20 heirs involved in the petition, of course, and the course is sold. What happens now in the Unified Air Property Act, if an individual, family member, now I know all of y'all get along with all your distant cousins and your nieces and nephews and everything, if you're connected in any, how many of y'all are connected in any type of air property right now? That you know you got interest in ownership. There you go. Me too. So, in the Unified Air Property Act, that if an individual say they want their interest out of the property, and they say, well, I'm gonna petition the court to get mine out. Then they petition the court to get it out. The judge will rule, or should rule, the new law, and they first have to offer their interest back to you as the individual or the other family members at the appraised value. At the appraised value of that land. That's the new law. Used to be, if they petition the courts, it automatically goes to the process and it's auctioned off. And individual owners or those heirs would only get about 25%, maybe 50% of what the value of that land was. That's history now. So the court decree, the offer back to the other heirs at the appraised value, and you buy that individual out of those individuals out at the appraised value. Now, the other thing Farm Service Agency offers also, this is in the 2018 Farm Bill, I think, yeah, probably 2018 Farm Bill. Farm Service Agency now, not directly, but by way of third party, you can get financing on their property. And when I say financing, you can get the finances to buy other heirs' interests out. The first time, and I hope it's continued, you know, with the new bill or something now, which is not, you know, passed yet, but that was a major, for us, it was a major, when that came out. The new law, the change of the law was also a major, you know, when it came out with that. But if you have interest in their property, if there's dispute with family members, then you may want to look into that financing option or opportunity that's available where you can purchase the other heirs' interests out in that property. We want to be a resource agency for this community, and of course, we have a 42 county service area, as well as work that we do in Arkansas and Mississippi and Tennessee now, but Arkansas, this area, where our office is based, 831 North Washington, and refer your friends, even folks you don't like, just say, well, they need some help. And say, love, even the enemy, right? I say, so even folks you don't like, if you know they need help, and I know we all good Christian folk, right? So, but if you know they need help, refer them to the office. They'll come by. If it's related to air property, if it's related to houses, if it's related to farm business plan, if you want to become an urban farmer and a micro farmer, then we do provide those services in partnership with USDA rule development. Now, Ms. Moore and myself, I won't talk about how long we've known each other, but she do know that we've been around a little while, just a little while, Ms. Moore. And she knows things that we do, and everything we do in accordance to what's available to USDA. You say that very clearly. What's available to USDA. See, some things we do, USDA don't necessarily do it directly for you, but they know it's available and they offer it to you. But sometimes they offer it to you and people don't realize what they are offering and how to use it. Let me say that again. They offer it to you and they don't realize what's being offered and how to use it. Ms. Moore said, no, we're not gonna fund this application. I don't think it's good. She likes telling me that sometimes. No, she doesn't. She doesn't like telling me that. Yeah, but you know, sometimes that happens. They say, well, I don't think it's quite a feasible application the way it goes. But when they send that denial out, they tell you, you got appeal rights. You have the right to appeal. You have the right to reconsideration. And sometimes you go through the process, well, I want you to reconsider my application because I do have market access and I'll be able to put that in there and I can show why I have a market now for this microloan. And you come back and put that in and say, well, under reconsideration, added information, you're now approved. But if you don't exercise that process that has been offered to you and understand the process, then when you get that denial, you just say, man, I knew they weren't gonna give him, the government just won't give me right for nothing. But they told you, you had a right for reconsideration, and you didn't ask for reconsideration. And even if they don't do it in reconsideration, you have a right to speak. They offer you that too. So, and I said all that to say this, a lot of things occurred over the years. The Equity Commission report is out now. I think it is out. I don't know if y'all agree with that, but USDA has a report. And the Equity Commission has been dealing with building equity, establishing equity, based on the disparity that exists, on that side in economic distressed areas, the underserved segments of the population, particularly with the minority population. But that report is coming out as specific action plans that are to be taken on the part of USDA, which I'm looking forward to. No, I have not read the whole report, just some quick summary basis. So don't ask me no question, Dave, about the report. But a lot of work is going into it, and we're looking forward to working with USDA, local communities, and seeing how we can be a better tool, a service agency in dealing with that report being executed. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you participated. Mr. Lofton.
That's my question. That is the NAP program available for all vegetables, or is there a specific list?
Usually is. I'm sure you can't find one that won't be covered, so, yeah, they're all.
All of us. All right. Ms. Williams?
Okay, this is it, and I just want to thank each and every one of you, and go out and tell your neighbors, your friends, all about what we do and what you've heard here, and I hope it has been beneficial. I hope everyone has gotten what you were looking. Thank you, again, thank you. And have a safe trip back.